in the world. This is just a tribute podcast. Just kidding.
Yes,
It's the
love
Let's
that.
Rock Review podcast, and we're back. Uh, we are excited today to cover. This is our fourth podcast. We're going to cover the next Foo Fighters album. Kurt, tell us what we're doing. What album are we on now?
Oh man, yeah. So we're doing the sixth studio album, Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, fourth podcast, sixth album. We'll get the other two out there sometime eventually in the future. But for now, here we are. Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. Originally released 2007.
September 25th, to be exact.
Thank you for the specificism there. They did spend most of 2000. I think they started recording about March. But I'm gonna say something here, Kurt, that is gonna be a bit controversial, especially with some of the greatness of Foo Fighters in general. As a whole, this has been my favorite album to listen to.
Wow, nice.
And that's saying something. I mean, I love Foo Fighters. Everything I've listened to so far on Foo Fighters and all the albums so far have been great. But and of course, there's a but on that, but. This one altogether has had, the least amount of songs that I want to skip through.
Wow. Very cool.
And I don't know. It sounds so weird to say that because there's not a lot of songs that I've skipped through on the other albums. But as a whole, I think this has been my favorite album to listen to.
Very nice. Yeah, this is going to be a good discussion. I feel like they're catching their groove. They've had all the previous 5 albums. They're experimenting. They've gone different directions. Nothing too far off from each other, but it's going to be a good one. Thank you for those that are joining us. If you've listened before, we like to talk about the album history and then go into the songs. We'll discuss details. Hopefully you learn something new. And the main thing, hopefully it leads you to just want to listen to the album more. That's what we're here for, just have a little fun and have a little discussion along the way.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Nice.
Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. I think after their last album, which of course the double part album In Your Honor, this one, something major happened, and I think that impacts everybody, but I'm not 100% convinced that people I get up here, I say this. People don't very often change, and they certainly don't change in any real sense on when they say they change. But there is something, and I say all of that. I'm going off track here, but I say all that to say that there is one thing I think that changes a person, and that's having a kid.
Oh,
and
yeah,
in between the
sure.
last album and this album, Dave Grohl has a kid.
Yes. Well, exactly. I think you're kind of saying, people don't change, but like you led into,
there are certain things in life that change you.
Something,
that's one of them.
It usually is something that drives you to change. Like people may not change spur of the moment, but yes, like you said, this definitely drove him.
Yeah, and you can tell some of the songs and the way they're written, and of course we'll get into that later when we break down the songs. But you can tell that something changed. But at the same time, they had the last album, which they broke into 2 albums. Of course, the first being what they called like the normal Foo Fighters, and then they had the acoustic version of the album, or not version, but you know what I mean, acoustic side of the album. And Dave started talking about breaking things up, maybe having 2 different shows, one for the more fans of the acoustic, and I think it was Gil Norton who said, no, let's just do the same and both doing the same show. Like we don't need to break it up. And I love that because you can see the growth of Foo Fighters and the evolution of Foo Fighters over time to where now, like, if you're listening to anything by Dave Grohl, that's Foo Fighters. That's just, you know what I mean? It's they've done so many different things at this point that no matter what you hear, it's the Foo Fighters. And I love that about this album because they incorporate both different albums that they had last time into kind of into one thing.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I saw Taylor Hawkins. There was a quote. The success of that previous album, having the rock album and the acoustic album, he's, in quote unquote, shed the fear of adding it in to this one. It wasn't like, oh, should we or not? It's like, no, let's do it. People liked the previous one. But also, Dave also mentioned there was an interview in Kerrang I saw. He was asked, yeah, gotta love Kerrang. He was asked, yeah, when you were writing the album, did you have a firm plan how it was going to sound? He says, we didn't plan the new album to be half rock, half acoustic. We just thought, whichever songs are the best. It's not like, okay, we need 6 rock, 6 acoustic. It's just like, let's just, go with the flow, see how the songs go, and we'll pick those best ones. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
That's too what I love about the Foo Fighters. It's not like, hey, this is going to be a more of a melodic album, or this is going to be a harder album, or it's just like, hey, let's go make some stuff and see what comes out. Like it's we're just gonna go throw some darts at the wall, and whatever sticks. And it's so cool how the process that they always go through, and they make all these songs, they do all this stuff, and what we get is what we get. And then there's always that one song that they throw in at the end, and they're like, I think we need one more, pretty hard song. And then they, put together the best single of the album, The Pretender. Yeah. Towards the end of recording, they're like, hey, let's throw this other song in. And it's like, actually, that's the most popular song on the album.
That's
at least commercially most popular.
Oh yeah. That's been the formula for many of their hits. Like you mentioned, The Pretender, but previous albums, I think Best of You, and then All My Life. Those songs were like just last minute, kind of like, oh, let's do this.
And I think that's one of the things that makes them so great is that there's no set formula. It's not like,
yeah,
they're not. I always go for it.
Not overthinking it or anything. It's just
like, for sure. I like that. I like that a lot. Not overthinking it. They're just like, hey, this isn't rock. This isn't this. This isn't, what did he say? Tom Petty or country music. We're just gonna go make an album, and whatever we want to put on it, we're gonna put on it.
Yeah. Something else I liked in the Kerrang, I think, same interview, just about writing the album. I guess a little bit before that, we, from the previous podcast, we talked about, in There's Nothing Left to Lose, that one was like super chill, just really, they enjoyed making that. And then One by One, the band almost broke up. So it's kind of like coming into this record, as I was looking into it, I'm like, I wonder what this one's going to be like. But yeah, in that same interview, Dave mentioned this was their easiest and smoothest to make. Like every other album we've done twice. We recorded once, throw it away, do it one more time. And then this time we were finished, and he thought, wait a second, aren't we supposed to do it again? Wait, we're done? Really? So it's, yeah.
And they brought Gil Norton back for this one too.
Yes.
And I honestly think that helped because Gil Norton I don't want to say he understands Dave Grohl, because I don't think anyone can understand Dave Grohl, but I think he understands Foo Fighters. You know what I mean? And so like the process, the things they go through, I think it worked well bringing Gil Norton back in on this one.
For sure.
To produce the album.
Yeah. And I mean, it worked. It was a good album. This album won a Grammy. What was it? Best rock album.
Again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, great album. It's funny because as you were talking about the year two, when they were making this, 2007, for a while, this album I kept referring to as newer Foo Fighters. And I should probably stop, because this album is almost 17 years old now. But
Jeez.
yeah, I mean, seeing that it's the sixth album though, it's like, that's still, they had 5 albums before that. That could still kind of be considered newer, I guess. Maybe it was just the fact that, like, we were past high school. We thought, we're adults, so we're like, oh yeah, this is newer stuff. So
Yeah,
new
we were
stage and
hardly adults in 2007, dude.
right.
Just kidding.
At the time, we thought we were,
Absolutely,
older.
absolutely thought that.
New stages in our lives,
Yeah,
we
for
should
sure.
say. So
And that's a fair perspective to look at it as new Foo Fighters in our brains. But yeah, it's not definitely not newer Foo Fighters
yeah.
anymore. Anymore, that is. I like the name too. Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. Of course, pulled from the last song of the album, lyrics from the last song. But it's funny because he talks about the name and he felt that that was the right name for it, and he just pulled it from the end. But they were gonna name it. The first name that he came up with was the what was it exactly? I don't know exactly. It was the album with that song on it, or the album with that one song on it. That
I
was
don't think I saw that.
that was the first proposed name that Dave Grohl said, and then he was like, it didn't feel right, and he said, then I went with the lyrics from the song Home, and I was like, that's perfect. But
Yeah,
the name is perfect, but it would have been pretty awesome to be named that one album with the song on it.
yeah. The album with the song on it,
Yeah, that one, the guy we met that one time at the place with the thing.
right? I
Anyway,
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you looked into much. I don't think we had talked about like previous albums, but just like the cover art. Um,
oh yeah, I read something about it. It was like a nuclear bomb juxtaposed to a what's it? I don't even know what the bottom part
a,
is.
a vintage guitar amplifier tube.
That's right.
It's very very simple but interesting. Like, well, first off, I saw that the cover art was designed by the company Invisible Creature. And I guess they do album art for quite a few other bands, or they had, such as like Alice in Chains, Kendrick Lamar, Billy Idol, uh,
Yes.
Pennywise, Foo Fighters,
Nice.
of course, and then yeah, just a bunch of other ones. And then I guess they've done stuff including, or just not including music, but clients they've had such as like NASA, Pixar, Target, Apple, just like a bunch of other bands. So
So they're really good at designing
yeah,
logos.
they they know what they're doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, they mentioned they wanted to juxtapose it, with another object that traditionally wasn't associated with war or violence. So
Yeah,
that torpedo with the amplifier too. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I
that is
don't,
cool.
yeah, I hadn't really looked into the cover
Oh, I
art
call it a nuclear
past
bomb. You
ones.
torpedo. It's a torpedo.
Black World War II era torpedo.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So found that kind of interesting.
That is interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, it's overall just interesting how, I feel like they learned from all their previous albums and, they found their groove, and it was pretty easy to record this album. So
Yeah, there's always been some kind of drama, not drama, but like some sort of backstory to the album. I feel like this is the first one where they're just like, hey, we're just gonna go make an album. And there wasn't a whole ton of extra stuff on the album, or before the album. They just went and recorded and got a bunch of songs in, and then yeah, then they just went for it. There's no like, hey, we almost broke up. Hey, we're gonna split this into two records. It's just we're just gonna go record and pick out the best songs. Not a lot. I
yeah, for
mean,
sure.
besides that, like, there's not a whole lot to say about the recording, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, the songs. Should we talk about the
The
songs then?
songs. I think we got to go to the songs now.
There's some good ones on this album.
Oh yeah.
Starting out with the first one, then, The Pretender, which is on my Mount Rushmore of Foo Fighters songs. And there's a
I
reason. There's a
I
reason for that.
concur.
And
Yeah.
there's a reason for that too. First of all, it'd probably be still on there, but it was the first song that got my son, my older son, into Foo Fighters. Was this one? Watching
Ah,
this video with him.
very nice.
It is just it is just a great song. Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl doing what Dave Grohl does best, just rocking out and yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just a fantastic song.
Yeah. Yeah, this is on my Mount Rushmore. I don't know if it's the same for you, but my Mount Rushmore is now complete. Um,
I have
I got
three so far. I think I'm gonna wait till the end because there's one other song
ooh,
that might be on there, but I think I'm gonna wait till towards the end of our series here.
okay. Yeah, and for those that are listening, there's still quite a few albums left, and you're probably wondering, like, you've got your Mount Rushmore set already. I would say my Mount Rushmore set is set, but my top 10 is still up in the air. Because I feel like to make the Mount Rushmore, there's like meaning behind the songs, like maybe like I
Yeah,
grew up with, like it kind of, I mean, like Monkey Wrench is on there. It's like that's what got me into the Foo Fighters. And then,
yeah.
um, so yeah, you know, agree or disagree about my Mount Rushmore being complete, that this tops it off. So
Nice.
we'll
That's
see
awesome.
how yeah, we'll see how the rest of my maybe like top 10 go. But yeah, one of my favorites. Um, One thing about The Pretender, a funny fact. At first, a while back, I heard this. At first I thought it was just more of what's it called? Just questionable or conspiracy theory, but I did find an interview about it. Far Out magazine, Dave happened to say, I think I was subliminally forced into writing the chorus from that song, Grohl recalled in an interview. The Pretender is a lot like this children's song. One of these things is not like the other, from
Yeah, yeah.
Sesame Street. And then he goes on, I remember writing that song and thinking, man, I think I heard that before. And then Chris, our guitar player, he said, dude, that sounds a lot like Sesame Street thing. And I said, I'll use it. That's a hit. I was like,
That's so
uh,
funny that you say that because sometimes when I sing the song in my head, I'll sing that as the lyrics.
yeah. And for those of you that may not be familiar, let's compare the lyrics. So here's Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the others. And in The Pretender, what if I say I'm not like the others? There's a little similarity there. This song is pretty much just Sesame Street for grown-ups. So
Yeah, yeah, there it is.
for
Maybe that's why it resonates with me so much. It's like it's the adult version of Sesame
yeah,
Streets.
yeah. Um, it it wasn't during this album, but later on. Some of you listening may have seen it, but Dave does go on Sesame Street. He joins and he sings a song called "Here We Go." So it's a pretty funny one. He's with Elmo and Big Bird, and they just start singing about making friends across the country. Caleb, my son Caleb, he's a big fan of Sesame Street, so he was pretty excited when I showed him the music video for that.
That's
And
awesome.
we've got him doing a little review of it, as we usually do our kids, with short reviews towards the end. So I'll have to play that for you guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like the one of the things that makes it so great, I think, too, is and one of the things that makes it so Foo Fighter-ish is the fact that it was thrown together in about an hour.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I just think back to the very first couple albums. Dave Grohl will be like, "Oh yeah, I wrote that in like 20 minutes." It's like, what do you mean you wrote the one of the most popular songs of all time in 20 minutes? Like that doesn't even
Yeah.
make sense. But I think when he just has he's such a visionary and an artist. When he has something in his mind, he throws it together, and it's like it's just raw. It's just more raw and natural and not maybe not natural, but authentic that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what comes out in the Pretenders. Also, the video is pretty awesome too.
Yeah. Yeah, just them playing, but there's the riot police there. They're kind of standing at the line, and then towards the end, start coming towards the band, and then Dave plays the guitar, and I didn't really look into that. What is that? That the red glass or whatever just explodes? Did they say what that was? I didn't look into that.
I don't know. I didn't even want to look it up because I didn't want to know what it actually meant, to be honest, because I have in my head what it means. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to know what they actually meant by that because it already killed Learn to Fly for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, Dave's good at like keeping it, pretty simple, pretty vague. There's been some interviews where like certain songs they do try to ask the meaning, and he like starts to, but then he's like, no,
Yeah.
It's like, no, I like to keep it open to interpretation. So
Yeah, one of the things that I feel like from the video is like, what if I say I'm not like the others, and it's like just resistance to other things, and I think that's the resisting the riot police being like, trying to make you into something else, and them resisting it with their music, you know what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
So if there's other extra meaning behind the red glass, maybe I'll look it up later, but I definitely don't want to know right now because my meaning in my head means a lot to me, and it's one of the reasons it's my favorite song. So
Yeah. You know what? One other thing I noticed, Chris Shiflett, the guitar player, he's got the bleached hair going on. I was like, oh man,
yes,
Chris, what's going on?
nice.
But yeah, oh man, Chris, when I see him play guitar, like this music video and just other times live, it just looks like it comes so effortlessly to him. Like he's a good guitar player, and it just seems so simple to him. And I mean, same with all the members.
The most talented people always make it look easy.
Yeah, you got Nate on bass. He's just like Mr. Consistent. I mean, he's been there from the start.
Yeah.
He was earlier albums. There was some shuffling around, but he's always been on bass. And then Taylor Hawkins. And yeah, another thing about the music video, I love seeing him sing the backup vocals.
Yeah.
It's like not something you see very often with the drummers of a band, but I love that he's a singer. But yeah, The Pretender, it reminds me, just brings me back to college so much because that's when it came out, and I feel like the semester it came out, that's like a core memory for me. Just like walking from my car to campus, like I was like always listening to this song.
Nice,
just
that's awesome.
Song. You ask most people like, "Oh, what are your core memories from college? Were there like good lessons?" Or it's like, well,
The Pretender by Foo Fighters.
Exactly. Oh,
nice,
fantastic.
All right,
song.
All right, moving on. Let It Die.
Yeah. I feel like this is where we start. Well, when we're talking about the album in general, we kind of mentioned how it's like kind of the mix between the rock and the acoustic. I feel like the song itself is the mix of rock and acoustic, starting off with the acoustic, the first 2 minutes, and then like the next 2 minutes, it really just gets into the standard rock of the Foo Fighters.
There's several songs like that on this album.
Yeah,
are like almost half and half, or at least like majority soft and go hard at the end.
Yeah, not too many that are just straight up acoustic, but yeah, it's a good song. I saw an interview. Let's see, the Hour interview. I guess that's the name of the broadcast it was on. So I know there's been talks. Well, we know that Dave, he was the drummer for Nirvana, and it was unfortunate after Kurt's suicide. But I think there's been rumblings, and you know, maybe a lot of it's just from the media, just Dave's relationship with Courtney Love, just like, you know, were there hard feelings towards her because of Kurt's suicide? And, you know, there are a lot of talk and everything. But in this interview, the guy straight up asked, you know, is this song about Courtney Love? And he put that all to rest. He just straight up said, no, it's not about Courtney Love. So, and then Taylor comes in. I thought it was pretty funny. He's like, I thought you were talking about the breakup of Creed, the band Creed. Lighten the interview a little more, but
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You're talking about the breakup of Creed. That's great.
Oh,
that's how you diffuse the situation right there. That's good.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I guess before that though, he was saying it's about two people, you know, that fall apart, someone that you feel helpless to they're watching them throw it all away. But yeah, that's when like then he came in. It's like straight up said like, no, it's not about Courtney. So
interesting.
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting that at this late in the game with this many albums out, that they would think that he would go back to that, you know,
Yeah,
horrible time and write a song like this. Like I don't know, man. That just feels like a dig on Dave Grohl to even consider that would be what this is about. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
But I mean, I could see how someone like would think that, but just hearing Dave Grohl talk a few times, you know, he definitely wouldn't stoop to that sort of level. That'd be kind of anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, love the song. Great song. I love
It is a good song, and another one
Yeah.
you can put a lot of meaning into as well. Like, why'd you have to go and let it die? Like, and you know, he talks about several different things, but yeah, just two people losing it together, or you know, your relationship with anything that matters. You know, letting it go away when it was so good in the beginning.
For sure.
All right, erase, replace.
Ooh. You know, this is, I mean, besides The Pretender, I feel like this is one of my favorites on the album.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good one.
I'd say I listened to this one. Yeah, besides Pretender, liked this one the most, listened to it the most. Not sure if it's like because like subliminally I got drawn into it. Just listening to the first few lyrics, Dave's like, attention.
Oh yeah.
Pay attention. I'm like, hey, I'm with you, Dave. Let's do this.
I'm paying attention, man. I was already here.
Yeah.
No, it's so funny. There's like a public speaking thing where you get people's attention before you start talking, and so it feels like that's what he's doing here for sure.
Oh yeah. I saw. Let's see. It was on Foo Archive. It was Dave saying, "I still listen to Kill 'Em All by Metallica." For those that may not.
Oh, I read that. I read the same quote you're reading right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Still listen to Kill 'Em All once a week, and there's a part of me that will never lose the love of riffs. That's where a song like this comes in. As a drummer and a guitar player, the rhythmic quality of a decent riff is like a cannon to me. I can write riffs all day long because I look at the guitar like a drum set. So just as I'll sit at a drum kit and play beats, I sit with the guitar and try the same thing. That's what I was doing here. This one rocks.
I love that. I love the chorus. Just how like I don't know. Just how it feels so. Uppity is the wrong word, but like peppy, I guess.
Yeah, but still just rocks.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, it's like, hey, this is like we're rocking out here, but also like I feel like I could shake my shoulders to this too.
Yeah, it's interesting, like hearing us both like it, but I feel like you bring up the chorus, but for me, I love like the drumming, and it's like do 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 do. You know, it's like that's what sticks out to me. I mean, the whole song, of course, but interesting the parts that we each notice.
Right, for sure.
And of course, the in the title, it's interesting that it's erase / replace. It kind of reminds me of a certain album you may have heard of, At the Drive-In, In Casino Out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
As I saw that, I'm like, hey, look at that. I wonder what it is that makes them do that, not just write, erase, replace. Anyway, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think I mean there's
Random thought.
or like not erase and replace, just replace slash replace, erase slash replace.
Yeah, true.
It's
There's
almost like an
probably,
or, you know what I mean?
yeah. I should have asked Valate. She's an English major. She could have told me you
Oh
know,
yeah.
the correct meaning behind that. What's going through their mind deciding this? I'll have to ask her. But yeah, great
Next
song.
one, Long Road to Ruin.
Long Road to Ruin.
I want to start off by saying what a wonderful music video.
Oh
Oh
man.
man, they got
It's
Rashida Jones from Parks
oh
and
yeah.
Recreation. Of course, she hadn't done Parks and Recreation yet, but Rashida Jones plays the lead female in the and just the names alone are just so spectacular.
Yeah. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, it's a spoof of like a 1970s era hospital soap opera.
Yeah,
So, and just knowing how the Foo Fighters have done previous music videos, it's going to be silly and you know all that stuff. In fact, they did have the director Jesse Peretz, but yeah, he directed Big Me, Learn to Fly, Low, The One, some of their silliest music videos, and yeah,
yeah,
this one definitely fits the mold. So
yeah. It's like a behind the scenes look too of that show, or of a soap opera where the actors are all having issues outside of the show.
mhm.
It's just so good, and the song too is amazing.
Oh yeah. This was the second single from the album, and yeah, like you were mentioning, good song. I showed a few different songs to Andrew from this album, and yeah, he liked this one. He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." We might hear about it in his review at the end, so get ready for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out the video, everyone. Get a good
Yeah,
laugh.
for sure. It's it's hilarious, and it's a great song.
Yeah.
Come Alive. Come Alive,
Ooh.
song number 5. Come Alive is the another one where it's like acoustic for a lot of the time, and then goes hard for a little bit.
Yeah, I almost feel like, well, let's see which one. Trek 2, Let It Die. I feel like that one was very, like let's start off the first half acoustic, second half, let's go into the rock. I feel like Come Alive, it kind of builds up. It has stages. It starts off acoustic, picks up, gets a little heavier. Well, not even heavy, but just like picks up a little bit. It like switches off, but each time it gets just like a little heavier. So like in those stages, but
Foo Fighter loves that buildup because there's another one on this album that has that just the whole time. It seems like they're getting a little bit more every time they come back in or drop back in after the chorus or something, and there's this a lot of the songs build up to the end. I love it.
yeah. But yeah, besides, of course, Pretender and Erase Replace, I actually listened to this one the most.
Oh,
This
nice.
was, yeah. And I think Dave even talks about this one, um, going back to what you mentioned about his daughter Violet being born. This is about like a reawakening after becoming a father. Anyone who's a father understands how the world becomes a different place when your child is born. I just feel and see everything differently now. It's what he says, and it almost seems like the lyrics kind of related to the different stages that we mentioned. The acoustic, maybe like just like the before. Looking at some of them, like nothing here to see, no looking back, every sound monotone, every color monochrome, light began to fade into the black, and then like when it picks up, let's see. Yeah, that's when he starts saying like, you saved me the day you came alive. So it's like as the music picks up, like it seems like the lyrics pick up as well. Like it's talking about like that transformation, that the world becomes a different place. So I found that kind of interesting, just with the whole song. So fantastic song though.
It
I
is.
also tried, yeah, I also tried looking up like just checking out YouTube. I didn't know if there's like a music video or anything. You know, I'm sure live performances. But I stumbled upon a pretty interesting thing. There's something called the Sweet Charity Choir. I don't know if you've seen that, but yeah, just some random choir. They did a cover of this, like a big choir. They did bring in instruments as well,
That's
but
really cool.
it's yeah, and like the meaning behind it too. They say every year we lose incredible artists in the music industry to suicide. Over 50% of roadies or other music industry professionals have attempted or considered suicide, and most of them have not sought help. We at Sweet Charity Choir feel that singing can provide light in dark times, and being part of a musical community can change your life. We want to raise awareness of music support, a charity in the UK run by volunteers within the music industry who provide a confidential helpline for anyone in the music profession who needs help. This is our way of saying thanks to music support in the UK, but also to the hundreds of other crisis charities across the world and their thousands of volunteers. And I just thought that was awesome that like they're doing it. They're, you know, brought the, I mean, not just what they're doing, but they like saw this Foo Fighters song. It's like, hey, let's sing this, you know, let's raise awareness.
That's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah. Um, and what was even more awesome, Dave stumbled upon this and he responded on Twitter to it. He says, "Thank you, Sweet Charity Choir and music support, for such a beautiful rendition of Come Alive and for making this song of hope even more hopeful. Perfect way to ring in the new year, Dave." I was like, wow,
That's
that's very
awesome.
cool.
That is very cool. I love that he responds to stuff like that. That's
Yeah,
actually going to happen, and you know, one of the reasons this song is on the album. One of the reasons one of these songs is even on the album is a response to something else too. So
yeah. And I do love that, you know, I feel like we're going to mention this every podcast, but you know, just like having the lyrics be simple enough that like, you know, so many people can relate to it in different ways. Like you're singing this for this reason, someone else is singing it for a different reason, and you know, this fits that Sweet Charity Choir's cause. And yeah, it's just fantastic. Fantastic purpose, what they're doing. Fantastic song.
yeah,
One of my top to listen to on the album.
it is good. It is great. All right, stranger things have happened. I like this one. Dave said about this one. He said he wrote this. You know, he said it was the outcome of sitting in silence by himself a lot. He on the road when he's out traveling, out touring. He kind of doesn't really do much. He said he just sits in a hotel room in silence. And he said this song right here is a byproduct of me sitting in silence for hours by myself in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. I just love that. It's like, what is one of the greatest songwriters do in his free time when he's on tour? Sits in silence in his hotel room and comes up with new stuff.
Talk about how strange it is to do that.
Yeah,
I feel like this was like the first true like softer song on the album.
yeah,
Like the Come Alive and Let It Die, you know, it has the softer parts, or the acoustic parts, but this is just the whole song, just more of the acoustic song. So if this song were on the previous album, In Your Honor, you know, it would be on that second disc.
oh yeah, for sure.
So Yeah, I saw something in Billboard magazine as well, an older issue, of course. This was Taylor speaking, but he is saying, Stranger things have happened. I don't even listen to that song, Hawkins says. I'm one of his best friends, and the last thing I want to do is read a love letter to his wife or whoever it is. But at the same time, if it was someone I didn't know, it might internalize it deeply and it might be part of my life and something that I think about when I think of my wife. So it's like, okay, it's interesting, but
That is interesting.
but yeah,
Cool. Cheer up, boys. Your makeup is running.
cheer up.
First of all, what a great song title. They said
What's
it wasn't even the real title. They like it was just a running title till they could come up with one, but then they liked it and it kind of stuck after a while.
yeah, yeah, oh, where was it? But yeah, it was described as the most light-hearted, melodic song of all, which seemed like a little ray of hope in the middle of all this despair. Um, just because it was like the other songs on the album so far had been like the heavier ones, so this was kind of like a new light-hearted one. They're going back to a Kerrang article. I thought it was funny because it's so lighthearted, and I'm guessing the song title uh, was part of it as well. But Dave was asked, "Are you having a dig at emo on Cheer Up Boys? Your makeup is running." So I thought, like, okay. But yeah, he responded. It's
That's
like,
funny.
yeah, it says, I'm from Washington, D.C., and in the mid 80s, the hardcore scene changed from Bad Brains and Minor Threat to bands like Embrace and Rites of Spring. People started calling it emo core, which everyone hated. For this song, it was a working title that stuck because that was a song that we had demoed, and it sounded like this really bright, poppy, late 80s REM song that would
I
have
read
been,
that they were talking about
yeah,
the REM. Yeah.
Off Their Green or something like that. Yeah, he also says, I gave it that title because it definitely seemed like the most lighthearted melodic song of all. Oh, yeah, I already read that part. Um, yeah, I kept the title because I thought it was hilarious.
So no deeper meaning. You just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's just funny. It made me laugh.
Oh, that's good.
What else was interesting about this song? So in the US, the singles, they start with The Pretender and then Long Road to Ruin. And then I believe,
Oh yeah, I read this. They like release different singles in different countries.
yeah, so the third single in the US, I believe, was Let It Die.
Yeah.
But uh, this Cheer Up song, this was the third single in the UK. It's like, okay,
Interesting.
I guess the UK, they might prefer this song. I didn't see the reasoning behind that, but apparently first two songs you guys get the same thing. Third songs we're gonna switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, in the end, it's not like the album in different regions had different songs. You know, everyone gets the same album, so it's interesting.
You know,
But
at the end of the day, they are trying to when they release singles. What are you trying to do? You're trying to promote an album, and so they thought this song would stick
yeah,
better with the UK audience. You know.
yeah, and it
Cool.
worked. It
It did.
it was
It
upbeat.
worked. All right, Summer's End. I like this one. When Dave Grohl talks about this one, he talks about what did he say? Slimy. Something about a slimy melodic drumming by Taylor. He said,
Mm.
and then when he talks about the song, he goes off and just talking about how much he loves. He's like, I'm so lucky to have Taylor in my band. He's so awesome. I'm pretty sure he does backup vocals on this one too. But
Oh
it's
man, he probably does backup vocals on
on so many of them.
more
But yeah,
more songs than we think he does.
yeah.
But yeah, this song, it especially the intro, it has more of like the country feel to it.
It really
You know,
does. It's very, very country. You hear it. you don't know it's a Foo Fighters song until you hear Dave Grohl start singing, and then you're like, oh, it's Foo Fighters, of course. But
Yeah. Yeah, it threw me off a little bit. I was like, wait a second. I don't remember looking back at their previous albums. I don't remember any sounding this close to country. So
yeah.
for those of you listening that are into country, definitely take a look at this song. Let us know what you think. Or don't. Just listen to it.
Or don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ballad of the Beaconsfield Miners.
Beaconsfield?
Beaconsfield. I said Beaconsfield. Wow.
Bacon.
Why? I've said it so many times.
Getting a little hungry.
I am, I guess. Beaconsfield Miners. This is a pretty unique song for several reasons.
Oh, yeah.
It's unique because it's the first Foo Fighters song that doesn't have any lyrics. It's also unique because Dave Grohl does not play lead guitar on the song. And for those two reasons right there, it makes it a unique song. But there's one other thing. I love this story, and I'm stealing your thunder here because I'm going to tell the story.
I say go for it.
Awesome, thank you. I love this story because there was the Beaconsfield
Beacons.
I guess I just want some bacon right now. Beaconsfield Miners. So the mine collapses, and there's in Tasmania, and there's several miners stuck down in the mine. And after a few days of digging and trying to get to the miners, they finally can hear them and communicate with them. But of course, because of the way that things implode and crumble, they don't want to just rip all the rocks out and risk their lives. So they ask if there's anything they can get them. And one of the guys says, "I want an iPod with the album In Your Honor on it."
Yeah.
And of course, it's the world is watching when the Beaconsfield Miners are in there. And who's one of the people watching? Dave Grohl. So when they're over there, this guy stops by the one of the tours, and they made this song kind of as a tribute to him. And then he's playing the song, and he was like, he writes the song, and he's like, you know what? I don't know. Not that he can't play it, but he hears Khaki King. Khaki King is, if you don't know who she is, just go on YouTube and type in Khaki King and watch. She is an incredible guitarist. Slaps the side of her guitar, slaps the string, just incredible. Like, she has some really neat, interesting ways to play the guitar. And he says Dave Grohl just sings this girl's praises. One of the greatest guitarists he's ever heard. She shreds, all this stuff. And so he gets her to play this song on the album. And I just thought, what a unique song. And it's so good. The guitar is so good in it. Well, especially the first half of the song.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about how Summer's End has like that country sounding feel. This song, it's more of like a bluegrass feel.
It really is, yeah.
I love bluegrass. I was actually recently talking about this with my brother-in-law, Brett. Like, we're not like super into country, but like we both love bluegrass, and like that's something we've talked about. And like just the instruments and it, for those of you that may like bluegrass, I don't know how many of you listening to this are fans, but this reminds me of bluegrass, and it's fantastic. And well, what was great also, when they asked for the iPod with the Foo Fighters on it, like you mentioned, Dave heard about it. He sent them a message.
Beaconsfield.
The Beaconsfield. Yeah. Like he sent them a message as well. Like, hey, I hope you guys are hanging in there. You're in my thoughts and prayers, and I hope our music is helping you get through this. And when you come out, there's a couple of cold beers and a couple of tickets to our show. Let's hang out and have a drink.
That's awesome.
And I mean, he stuck to his word. I don't remember the exact number, but someone took him up on his offer, and the rest is history. And I think it was like, he mentioned how after a while he's like, we're, they're together and they're maybe had too many drinks and it's like, I'm going to put this on the album. But I'm so glad he did. It's
I
awesome.
am too. It's a great song, and it's a great, like, right before the last few songs, a great, like, pull away from the normal songs on the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I checked setlist.com, just like some of the more recent Foo Fighters concerts, and he played this song. I was like, that's awesome. I
Did
love
he
seeing
really?
that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see the set list for the upcoming tour. I'm sure there's going to be some shuffling around of songs, but at least the most recent tour, they were playing this.
I hope we get to see this. I hope he plays that. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Statues.
Statues. I guess going off of the previous song mentioning setlist.com and the tour, this is another song they recently played. What was interesting, though, not just that this was on the set list, but this hasn't been on many sets before. I guess, well, on the setlist.com, you can see like which songs they play the most and the number of times they played it.
Mm-hmm.
According to the website, they've only done this song 9 times. And it's like, if they
Really?
only play it 9 times, you would expect it to be like close to the album release, not, 16 or 17 years into the future. But yeah, I guess they gravitated towards this.
I guess when you're playing that long, that many live shows, that often, you're like, hey, let's switch it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, let's play statues. I'm like, what?
And I like this one. It kind of talks about you know, we're mortal souls, and we'll turn into stone eventually. Kind of like, you a couple ways to look at it. One, you're gonna stick around, or we're enjoy what we have while we have it, or let's do things that are gonna make us be remembered, and we're gonna be remembered when we're just statues after this.
Yeah. I saw someone relating this song to Hero. Because I guess in,
Oh
looking at
yeah,
the
yeah.
lyrics for statues, he says a bunch, we're just ordinary people. And, of course, in Hero, there goes my hero. He's ordinary. So maybe that's why they're kind of relating the songs a little bit. But some people were saying this sounds like Paul McCartney. But I've seen like Dave say, it wasn't intentional. One thing I found interesting, kind of relating to that, he said, like Dave would say, I got a piano year and a half ago, a year and a half ago from this album, and I had never played one before. That really stuck out to me because I'm like, Dave Grohl is like Mr. Music. How did he never play piano? Like he played guitar, he played drums, he's like amazing at all of these. And
Yeah.
I guess just never got around to piano. I was like, wow. But here he is playing piano. Or was he? Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, great song.
Yeah. There was also some other interesting instruments played on this. Rami Jaffe, we talked about him last podcast, how like he first started playing in the previous album. He plays the accordion in this, and then someone else plays the fiddle. I was like, there's all sorts of different instruments on here.
That's great. Yeah, I remember he said too. He's like he was afraid to put it on the album because it was such a big departure.
Mm.
But then he said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's put it on the album. I don't care.
Love it.
Right. All right. But honestly,
Mm.
really good song.
Yeah.
I like this one. It's another build up one, and it builds so much throughout the song. And
Yeah.
just one of those ones that starts soft and then goes hard at the end. I think he
Mhm.
said the end of this song though is like 10 years old. It's like 10 years
Yeah.
old, and they brought it back for this album.
Hmm. Kind of crazy how like you can have something in your mind, but just like not feel it's the right fit yet. It kind of reminded me of Green Day. I remember the song "Good Riddance," "Time of Your Life."
Oh yeah, that's
That's
such a good
that.
song.
Yeah, that's on their album Nimrod. But apparently he wrote that like back during Dookie,
Oh
or
really?
maybe even before that. But like it was an older song, but it just never, it didn't get onto Dookie, and then finally got onto Nimrod. But
You know, you got to think when you're doing this, and even like when they first sat down. I remember when he was talking about, I don't know, Let It Die or Erase and Replace, one of the two in the beginning. He said something like, I sat down with the producer and said like, sat down with Gil Norton and said, they had 30 or 40 songs they were looking at. At some point, when you're making this many albums, they're up to six now, they're gonna have some leftover songs, leftover material, leftover riffs, leftover music and choruses and all this stuff. And so, instead of trying to recreate something, you can just be like, hey, this is something we created a while ago. Let's let you, but yeah, like exactly what you said. How do you know when it's the right time to put it in? Or, it didn't feel right back then, but now it is.
right, yeah,
But it definitely fits into this album for sure. And it's a great
yeah,
song.
for sure. Glad it's on there.
All right. Home.
The last one.
I'm gonna say this song is probably gonna be on my top 10.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I I don't know what about this song. I'm a huge fan of like slow melodic songs like this, and especially songs with piano. But this song, just the way he sings it, the feeling behind it, it's and this might sound weird and it might not make sense, but it makes sense to me. So I'm going to say it either way. It is simultaneously the least and most Foo Fighters song to date. Not to date today, but like 2007 to date. Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's it's definitely a Foo Fighters song, and it's definitely nothing like they've ever done before. But at the same time, I mean, aside from like the last album on the acoustic album, but it's it just proves that Dave is at a point in his life where he's like, you know what? I'm a metalhead at heart. And he said this is him saying this out of his book. He's a metalhead at heart, but at the same time, he's growing, he's evolving, he's changing, he's got a kid, he's whatever he writes is Foo Fighters. And this is
Yeah,
so awesome to have a song like this where they're just like, you know what? Whatever we want to write, whatever we want to put out, we're not going to put out what everyone wants us to. We're going to create stuff, and if people like it, they like it, and that feels like home. You know what I mean?
yeah. I saw in it was Clash magazine back in 2007. He mentions it's the most diverse music we've ever made, musically and lyrically. It was tough to find something that really did sum it all up. I picked through the lyrics and I found a lyric from this song, Home, which says, "Echoes, silence, patience, and grace, all of these moments I'll never replace." And he says, "I thought it was nice because it's open to interpretation and it's a beautiful title. And I think the album is beautiful in its diversity and its melody and its musicality. It goes from delicate acoustic moments to the heaviest stuff we've ever done."
Yeah. And one more thing about this song is like it it you could listen to this song and be like, oh yeah, this guy had a kid for sure. He wants to go home. Like he wants to be home with his kid right now.
Right?
Like
Are we
because
done?
it keeps referring back to going home and being at home, and you know all these moments will never replace. Meaning like you got to take advantage of the times while they're here, the important things. Like, and I think that's a common theme for this album. Um, is
Yeah,
taking advantage of times while they're here, and not squandering opportunities, not squandering family, not squandering loved ones, not squandering um, whatever life throws at you that's positive and that's good. Is keeping up with that, and not letting it out of your hands,
yeah,
or not
for
letting it
sure.
pass by rather.
Hmm. Another fun fact about this song, it was used in quite a few different
Oh yeah, I saw that.
TV
I wasn't
shows.
gonna say anything because I know that's your thing. You always say, "Oh, bring up all this stuff." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna let him say that."
Little fun fact here. Yeah, it was used in the TV show Brother and Sisters, One Tree Hill, Private Practice, Bosch, uh, 911 season 5, episode 7, and interesting. And in the animated movie Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun the Sheep. What a great,
I
what a great title for a
yeah,
movie.
I never saw that, but once I saw the title, I was like, I remember seeing like commercials about that or something like that. I was like, oh
Hold
yeah.
on. I gotta look it up and see if it's the one I'm thinking about. Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, it's the same people who did Chicken Run. It's got to be. It
Okay.
looks like the same animation.
Is that the same as like Wallace and Gromit? Like the
Yeah,
claymation? Yeah.
yeah.
I love
That's not verified, by the way. I didn't look that up. So if anyone's listening to this and they say that you're absolutely wrong, I could be absolutely wrong. But it does look like the same animation as Wallace and Gromit and the same animation as Chicken Run.
Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun
Hang
the
on.
Sheep.
But it does say it's from the creators of Chicken Run.
There you go. There you go. I was right.
And
Kind of unmistakable style.
yeah. Anyway, fun stuff. I'll have to check that out. It looks kind of fun. I think my boys would like that.
I know, right? I gotta look at that. Yeah. All in all, great album with some really good songs on it.
Yeah.
I always like to look at the one of the things I look at when I'm looking over an album is the commercial. What are they? Oh man, I can't think of words.
Reception or
Reception. Thank you. The
there you
commercial
go.
reception to it,
Bacon.
and it was actually a lot more positive than previous albums. This one got
Oh, okay.
overall. There's some higher ones, some lower ones. Some people saying, "Oh, you're just chugging up the same stuff over and over again." And it's like, oh, obviously you're not listening very closely then, but to
Yeah.
each their own. But overall, it did better than some of their previous albums.
Yeah. And
So
you mentioned in the beginning this was one of your favorites to listen
it
to?
it, it is. I mean, as a whole, not individual
Okay.
songs, but as a whole. It just had because it's just so good with the breakdowns in the middle, calming down. There's some songs that I don't listen to, like well, there's probably only one or two. Summer, I can't even think of the name. Summer's End, I didn't listen to all that much. But the other ones, like Pretender, Let It Die, Erase, Long Road, like you could listen to the first half of the album, and then the second half. There's not a lot of songs on it that I want to skip.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm trying to say
Nice.
in a very very long roundabout way.
Well, speaking of the album as a whole, I think this could lead into our kids' reviews.
Oh
I
yeah.
actually I actually had Andrew just review the album as a whole. He
Oh
didn't
nice.
he
Very
didn't
cool.
dive into it as much as us, but like I went through a few of the tracks and just like, hey, here's this song, here's that song. So yeah, here's Andrew talking about the whole album. All right, Andrew. So this podcast, we're talking about the Foo Fighters album, Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace. Now I showed you a few of their songs. What are your initial thoughts on the ones we did listen to?
They're pretty good. I liked specifically track 4. That one was my favorite.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this album, they kind of did a good mix. There's like the rock songs and then like some of the softer acoustic songs.
Yeah.
Some of the songs were even like each song was like a mix of like acoustic and rock. How did you like that approach to this album?
I like that because like some people would like prefer rock and some people would prefer more calm, and they like the sound of Dave Grohl's voice.
For
so
sure.
Maybe they would like the song that starts out maybe like calm and then the chorus goes all crazy and then calm crazy chorus, and then the bridge.
Love it. So overall, would you recommend this album to others?
Yes, it's a good album, but it's not my favorite. And by the way, if you haven't watched our other podcasts, you should go do that right now. Just pause this
the
one.
plug, I love it.
Go back, watch our other 3 podcasts. They're the best. And yeah.
Awesome. Well said, Andrew. Thank you. I do want to clarify, I did not tell him to say that. That was all him.
And I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
All right, so I asked my older son because, I talked about how Pretender was one of my favorite songs. It was actually one of the first songs that got my older son into Foo Fighters, him listening to the Pretender and the video. And we watched the video together a couple times, and he really dug it. And so I started showing him some of their other stuff, which was cool to me. So I asked him, real simple, what's your favorite song on the album? And let me see if this is.
My favorite song.
All right, hold on.
Pretender.
Here we go.
Okay.
I would definitely have to say my favorite song from this album would be Pretender. It's really the song that my dad first introduced me to the band, and it's what really got me into Foo Fighters and made me grow to love them now. And I just really think, if not the best, one of their best songs they've ever made.
Nice.
That's it. One of his favorites.
Love it. Loved hearing. Now all 3 of your kids have been on it.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see who draws the short straw next time to review a song on the next album.
Maybe have them do a group review or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's cool. I'll think of something like that. Speaking of their next album.
Oh wait, I've got one more actually.
Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry.
This one's going a little off topic from the album, but since we discussed how Dave did the Sesame Street song "Here We Go," and my son Caleb being a big Sesame Street song, we actually had him review that song. So
yes,
here we go. No pun intended.
So Caleb, Dave Grohl, he sang a song with Elmo and Big Bird. Was that fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cookie Monster.
Oh, should he do Cookie Monster next?
Yes.
That'd be fun. Would you recommend that to everyone else? Say, go, here we go.
Here we go, Cookie Monster.
Awesome. Thanks, Caleb.
So Dave, you gotta go back and do a song with Cookie Monster as well. I think his favorite character is Cookie Monster, so he was still pretty pumped to see you on there. So well done. But yeah, those are our reviews, our kids' reviews.
Patience and Grace in the bag.
Check it out.
Next up, Wasting Light will be back in a few weeks with our next review of the album in preparation for our Foo Fighters show in August. And we're excited.
Yeah. Many of you, well, if you're listening, there's a good chance that you're going to the tour before us. Got the tour in Europe. I think it starts in June. And then, once they get to the US, there's quite a few other places. But yeah, LA is at the tail end of it. Not the very last, but towards the end. But hopefully this helps prepare you for it.
All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you next time.
I forgot to show off my band shirt for this one.
Oh,
I went with my
beginning. I saw you wearing a shirt. You didn't say anything about it.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
The writing's on the wall. Solid band. Solid group of dudes. Check out their stuff as well. Music videos. Great group. Anyway.
Writing's on the wall for this one. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye.